Hey, it's Chris Zukowski from howtomarketagame.com telling you how to market your game. I am here at Steam Next Fest June edition. This happens 3 times a year. It's always so much fun. It's good to find out what's going on. I'm going to give you a tour of Steam Next Fest to kind of show you how you can maximize your visibility, what the games are doing on there, what's changing. So let's take a look here. So this is the front page of Steam. I'm in incognito mode. And that's just so that you don't get recommendations. We can see this is like the standard display. So let's take a look. All you got to do is you got to click up here at Steam Next Fest, the banner, and you'll see it. It's like the biggest thing in the world on the Steam pages. So what I am looking for is what kind of games are at the top of the lists, and what kind of things are they promoting? Now, Steam usually kind of like the people at Valve typically unroll new features. They kind of get a sense of where Valve is going with their Steam Next Fests. So my first impressions are just kind of looking at this. We're now in the broadcast schedule, which means all the games that pick this slot right up front are getting visibility. So you can pick 2 slots to schedule throughout the week of Next Fest. And that's what all these games. These people went with the first slot they possibly could. Their strategy right now, if they intended to or not, is to just maximize visibility. Because the visibility on Steam Next Fest is the biggest day is the first day. Big spike. Everybody checks it out. They're like, what is going on here? So these developers in this list said, okay, we're going to schedule our Steam Next Fest stream, the first one, right up front because we're going to maximize visibility. I don't know if this is the best strategy because look at how many games there are. I mean, it is a ton of games streaming in this first slot. One alternative strategy, which I think works very well, is try to be the only game streaming. So you would stream at like midnight, U.S. time. Maybe nobody else is picking it so that whoever is on that page, they only see your game. I kind of I think the best one is that no streamer, you're never gonna outcompete all those games in that list. So might as well just try and go for the least times because you're probably gonna get better wish list. But I don't have as much data on that as I would like. So what else we're seeing here is this is the featured stream. So Valve hires some professional streamers like these folks to play some of the games. These games are getting tons of visibility here. Lots and lots of visibility on that. But really, people just want all the visibility. They want to be on the front page. This is really where you get it. It's these 3 widgets. There's 3 widgets here. It's popular upcoming, most wish-listed upcoming games, and daily active demo players. That's what these lists are. Now, these people get all the wish lists. I'm sure that these games will probably get 60,000 wish lists or more by the end of Steam Next Fest. And the thing is, these games are locked in. Usually this list doesn't move very much. It might shift around a little bit. Popular upcoming is rated based off the game's previous 2 weeks prior to today. How many wish lists did they get? How many wish lists did these games earn in the previous 2 weeks? I usually see, based on my own surveys from past Next Fest, it's about 3,000, 4,000 wish lists to get on this list. So if these games got 3,000 wish lists in the previous week, they're on this list. The next one over is most wish listed upcoming games. This one is just total cumulative wish lists, and typically it's like, I'd say the bottom that I typically see, the bottom of the list right here, this game's probably sitting at about 75,000 wish lists to get on this list. That's probably where they are. That's just my experience, and then it goes up from there. So the top games could, who knows how much this game up here, Lies of P. And then the final one is daily active demo players. That one is kind of like a self-referential one. So the top 2 pretty much usually also get the most demo plays. That's just the nature of it. Now, part of the reason that I'm doing this right at the start is you get a little kind of the weird stuff. So I have a feeling my alien roommate might go away because I didn't see it. I don't think I saw it in the other 2, which means they just pulled some weird trick to kind of get up here. Maybe they just started their stream early, did a bunch of promotion to get this popping up here. This is kind of luck of the draw to get it at this point. I have a feeling as more people play these demos, this list is going to start looking a lot like these other two. That's just what's going to happen. I have a feeling that's going to happen. So let's kind of take a look at some of the games that are on the tops of the list. And what I like to do about this is I like to look at the genres and the types of games to kind of get a sense of what do people like on Steam. This is a very important aspect that you should be doing when you are planning to make your next game or your first game, is to kind of see like what is the general taste preferences of Steam. And in my experience from doing this and looking at the numbers, I like to say the general Steam fan is really a fan of crafty, buildy, sandboxy, endlessly replayable content games. That's just the Steam audience. The things you don't really like are puzzle games, platformers, match 3, those kind of one-and-done linear content type of games. Steam players like deep, long playing games. That's just what they like. So with that assumption, I like to go in and see, are there any games that are violating that kind of like core understanding? Are there games that are like surprising in how different they are? And we'll investigate, see why, and see what's going on. So let's take a look here. Let's start with this first one, popular upcoming, because that's kind of like trend. What trend happened in the latest 2 weeks that kind of popped these games kind of up there? Now, note that the games, you're going to see a lot of repeats from the most wishlisted, because typically to get a most wishlisted game, to get 100,000 wishlists, you're looking at getting lots of daily wishlists. These games are hot. They're blessed by the algorithm. Steam favors them. And because of that, they probably have a very high velocity already without doing any special promotion. And so these lists tend to be the same because a lot of these games are just have a natural high visibility at that time. These teams are also pretty sophisticated. So what you also see a lot of as well, they just hired a bunch of streamers to play their game in the coming 2 weeks. They did a big ad spend. So the combination of already being popular, getting a high resting wish list rate from being like just blessed by the algorithm, and then to their own promotion popped them up on this list. But sometimes you see some cute surprises on here, so let's take a look at these. Now, like I said, I'm in incognito mode just so that we get a like vanilla version that we're sure the algorithm isn't serving up some games because I liked some weird game or something. So this Lies of P is interesting. I have never heard this game. I don't know. It's kind of apparently a grimdark Pinocchio tale. So some sort of robot android guy with foppish clothes. Let's maybe take a look at that. So what is this genre looking at? It looks kind of like Soulsy, third person, battling type of game, the swords game, just Souls-like. We'll just call them Souls-like, even though I might not have the same meta structure. I just mean like third person, beat 'em up style, swinging swords, hitting stuff, okay? Let's look at the next one down, Warhaven. Also third person kind of throwing stuff around type of game. That's interesting. When I see 2 games already there, this is looking good. A lot of people like the third-person swingy stuff. Now, Wizard with a Gun. The other thing to be interested is how is Valve displaying games? They usually kind of roll out new features. And look at this. They're showing, when you hover, they're showing the micro trailer here. Valve recently implemented this feature where the first 2 trailers, they got kind of spammy with the trailers. Like some games would have like 12 trailers, and it'd be trailer. A lot of people on Reddit, well, I complained about this like 3 years ago and said, Valve, you got too many trailers and nobody watches trailers because I did that Steam study. Okay, I'm just one weird guy on the internet. I was saying this 3 years ago, and then all of a sudden Reddit about 6 months ago posted this long thread that kind of went viral where everybody was complaining about all the trailers on Steam and nobody uses trailers, they all use screenshots. I told Valve that 3 years ago. And so after all that Reddit thread, all of a sudden they cleaned up the trailers thing, which means they now have 2 trailers on your Steam page, and Valve recommends first trailer gameplay, second trailer screenshot, or like your cinematics, your expensive one. Look at this game right here. Look at this hover thing. This is pulling the reason Valve said put your first trailer as gameplay is because your first trailer turns into this. They source this to take the micro trailer that when you hover. Okay, so you should always put gameplay in your first one. Look at Devolver doing their own thing. Devolver loves. I didn't even know this was a Devolver game, and then I hovered over and I saw this like animated slow trailer, and I was like, that must be a Devolver game. Devolver always does this. They always have these cinematic trailers that don't show gameplay, and they put in their first one. Come on, Devolver, get your act together. It should be your second trailer. Is this one? I don't know what kind of gameplay is this. What is this gameplay? Oh, I see a little bit down there, top down, third person. So that's what kind of game that is. So again, kind of, what do they call it? Online co-op sandbox. I told you sandboxy. Co-op is huge too. I didn't mention that. People love to play games with their friends. Then we have the Invincible, which I have seen this thumbnail forever. I thought this game had already released and was being out there, but they got a build for Steam Next Fest, and it is your first-person open-world survival crafty buildy game. So very popular genre. It looks great. Super high productions. On Guard, another third-person swordy slashy game. Steam shoppers like them. Now, you might be a first-time developer and say, oh, okay, Chris has already seen 3 slashy beat-em-up type third-person games. I should make one. Be warned, this is a very hard genre because your controls have to be super tight. There can be no slop, no slack. You have to have an expert gameplay developer who's really good at this stuff and designer real-time, like beat 'em up. This is hard stuff to do, but if you can do it, there's a big audience. But your quality has to be bar none. Okay, so let's keep going. Station to Station, sandboxy kind of strategy buildy game. This is classic Steam. I love this kind of like laying out tracks, trains. This is a Steam game if I've ever seen one. Crafty, buildy, simulation-y. This is what I mean. Beautiful game too. Great graphics. Notice all the games have been 3D. 3D games are very popular, very hot right now. Jump Light Odyssey. Kind of reminds me. I'm feeling vibes. I'm getting vibes. What do the kids say? I'm feeling. I don't remember what the kids say. But I'm getting. Oh, it's giving. That's what they say. It's given me. It's given me vibes of like 2 Point Hospital, kind of this top-down buildy strategy. Kind of resource management game. But you're kind of building this. Jump Light facility. Let's look at this next one, Viewfinder. This one, I say puzzle games don't always do very well on Steam because one of the reasons why is streamers, they hate playing puzzle games because they get stuck and then they're just like, sorry, kids watching me, I don't know how to solve this puzzle. I look like an idiot. Just watch me bash my head against the wall here while I try and solve this puzzle. That's bad streaming. Nobody wants to watch that, and that's why streamers don't typically like puzzle games. But this game has gone viral several times because it has such an interesting mechanic, which is whatever you take a picture of, you can drop in the real world, and you solve puzzles by kind of capturing screenshots. It's really cool. I don't know how they do it. It's an amazing tech that they've got, and I think that's really what's going on here. It has gone viral on social media. He was talking about it there. Very hard to do with a puzzle game. It has to be exceptional, which this game is. That's propelled it up. That's why it's one of the most wishlisted, most trending games. Also has a big publisher that's really good, so they probably put a lot of effort behind that. Okay, Eternites, as you could see, they're not following the rule where it should be gameplay in your first trailer. Look at all the cinematic stuff. I'm not knowing what kind of game. There it is right there. Top third-person, sword, battle-y, punchy game. What other factors? Action game, dating action game, neat hook. It's Boyfriend Dungeons. Here's another thing is Boyfriend Dungeons was an interesting hook. They said, hey, that's only one game. If it's an interesting hook, you could do it again. So I think this is cool. They're testing out like, hey, more dating dungeon games. Why not? The world needs more dating dungeon games, and they've got it right here. So don't be afraid if somebody steals your idea. Like, oh, they stole my idea. You can still make it. I don't know where they got the idea. Maybe they did like Boyfriend Dungeon. They're like, the world needs more Boyfriend Dungeons. That's kind of what that is. House Flipper, classic buildy game. This is the most simulation-y building game, and it's Playway, so we know it. The other interesting thing I saw about Playway, look at this, House Flipper franchise sale. This is Playway getting a daily deal, which is super strong. Once you get a good game on Steam, it's a lot easier. Everything else rolls. I don't know when this publisher franchise sale went, which is typically a daily deal. This can propel a game up. I bet they did. They were high-fiving at the Playway Corporation here when they got this, because this visibility influences this, which influences Next Fest. It comes together as a nice synergy. If you can kind of stack these things, very helpful, very good, and they're very smart marketing team by doing this. Most of your visibility comes from Steam, and that's what they're doing. Playway doing their Playway thing. This is the perfect Steam game. Simulation-y, buildy thing, and you are literally building in this one. So let's go back to the front page. I'm just going to go through the top 10 here. Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew. I saw this. I think it's like an XCOM top-down buildy strategy, or not buildy, just strategy type of game. I think it's kind of XCOM-like, just seeing from the perspective and some of the things, and it's called a strategic combat game. So let's keep going down. Final one, Grand Enterprise Travel Survivor. Grand Empire's time travel survival. It's kind of open world survival craft, classic genre on Steam. Again, notice all of them 3D games. Steam just likes 3D games. They really do. Not to say that 2D games can't do it, but to get yourself that kind of momentum that it takes to get into this popular stuff, 3D really is where it's at. It just takes over. Now, I've done enough of these surveys, and I kind of know what's going to happen. The games that are on this front page, either one of these tabs, any of these tabs, because there's a lot of overlap, we're looking at least probably like 40,000 wish lists this week. These games are going to get. These games are going to get that. And the games underneath, so you can go more. Let's just show you. You can click more, show more. There's a whole nother tier of games here. And then you can also do those games that are one tier below. I usually see maybe 10,000 wish lists in the first, during this week. They're probably going to get 10,000, 7,000, somewhere around there. Then you can go to these pages, and here's the interesting thing. Each one of these are kind of genre tags up here at the top. Each one of these has a separate list of games. These games are all randomized by certain things. The most important thing is down here when you scroll down. Down here, way down, Steam really packing on the stuff up there. Another list subdivided by just the genre. It mirrors the genre up above. In other words, the main page where there's a most wish listed, trending, and then most played demos, but it's filtered just to the genre. These games, if they did not, so you get a second stab at it. A lot of these games will very popular, but not enough to be on the front page. These games, again, will get about 7,000 to about 3,000 wish lists on these subcategory pages in my experience. And then everything else is going to get probably right in the 2,000 on down, depending on how good their capsule is, how interesting their game is, and the genre. That's kind of my breakdown of how things work. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, my game's in Next Fest, what's going on? What am I going to get? Take your day one total of wish lists, which you will get tomorrow morning at about 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's kind of when Steam rolls over and shows your 24-hour wish list period from the week prior, or from the day prior, I should say. You take that, you multiply it by 5. That is going to be about where your Steam Next Fest totals are going to be. I've done the averages. It comes out to about 5x. So your day one total times 5 equals the total wish list you will get this week. Okay, so you can tell your boss, hey, this is what I think we're going to have, and they'd think you're cool. The thing is, it gets a little bit, I broke it down even, that 5 times O is basically an average of all games. I did a little deeper diving. If you are not on any of these front page widgets or the genre ones, you're looking at about 4 times. So if you didn't get featured in the top 10 on the genre pages or the top 10 on the front page, multiply it by 4.0. If you are on the front page, that is probably going to be about 5 or 6, somewhere there. Front page, just so many wish lists. It's incredible. Couple other interesting things I noticed. Okay, when we go up to the top, they used to, in previous Steam Next Fest, right up here, they used to do a genre sizzle reel where they would do, like top platformer games. Like if you went over to platformer and you clicked platformer, you would get, let's see if it refreshes. Why is it not loading? Maybe I'm already on platformer. Anyway, on the platformer thing, you would get just platformer sizzle reel, and it would just be like a montage of that. They stopped doing that. I think they realized nobody really watches them. It doesn't influence the wish list either. People are always like, oh, I wish I could get into that sizzle reel. it didn't really do much. They usually pick the prettiest games for the sizzle reel, and those games were already on there. I saw a couple, because I've done so much data, I've seen games that got featured in it, and it didn't make any difference, if they were like the first time there. Basically, if you want visibility, it's really simple. The equation is very simple. It's, are you on the front page of Steam? Are you in this primary widget here? That's it. That's the big thing. Are you in the primary widget? That's it. This is the real thing that's going to determine your visibility. It's how many wish lists you have coming into Steam Next Fest, and what's your velocity going in there. Like, did you get a bunch of wish lists ahead of time running in? Did you get streamer coverage? Did you get press coverage? Did you pay for ads? That's what influences this wish list velocity to get you into the popular games. And with that, that's how you do it. That's how you do Steam Next Fest. And so a lot of people wonder, when should I do Next Fest? They launch their Steam page, they launch their demo, and then they immediately go on to Steam Next Fest. I do not recommend that, because the whole way to maximize Steam Next Fest, which you can do only one time, and you get to pick when you want to do it, with that strategy, I always say do your last one before you launch your game, because you're going to be going in with the most velocity, you're going to have the most wish lists, you're going to have the biggest audience. And so you can use that to propel your demo up. I also don't recommend you launch your demo with Steam Next Fest. Your demo should be highly polished by the time it gets to Steam Next Fest, because it would really suck if you got into Steam Next Fest and when you got into Steam Next Fest, there was like a big game crashing bug if somebody had like an AMD processor or some stupid, bugs the way they show up. You want your demo well tested and bulletproof. That is, Steam Next Fest is not the time to figure that out. You should be doing your demo ahead of time. I'm speaking to the people who are planning their next Fest. Get that demo up nice and early, like, soon, and then launch your, then do Steam Next Fest just before you launch your game for full. And I mean early access and full game, because once you launch your game, once somebody can buy your game, you cannot participate in Steam Next Fest. So be strategic, be smart, be strategic about these things. I'm just going to kind of look through a couple other things, see if I see anything else that is there. For the King, looks like RPG style game. RPGs are big, but they also take a ton of resources. Strategic RPGs, those are really popular, but here, you pay for it and all the content that you're going to make. Sea of Stars is the first kind of pixel art game. It's RPG as well, though. So, again, deep gameplay usually counteracts, having 2D. We got our House Flipper again. Wizard with a Gun. Devolver not showing gameplay again. Invincible, we saw that one. One Lonely Outpost. There we go. It looks like a farming sci-fi colony sim. Classic genre for Steam. Gourd, let's see, this one looks like Ghosts. Come on, give me gameplay. Your first trailer on your Steam page should be gameplay, because I'm just seeing, so this game is me just watching ghosts walk around. That's not a game. I think it's actually, let's check it out. I think this is why you gotta put your first trailer as gameplay. I don't know what type of game it is. Let's see here. Ooh, I love this, by the way. So, something else. This is just great. I love this deckled edge on the GIFs. That's so cool. I think it's a top-down RPG-y looking game. Oh, look at that. You're building something. Buildy, crafty. Oh, no, I sound like a broken record, but really, Steam loves buildy, crafty stuff. And then whatever meta you want to throw on it. RPG, you want to throw a colony sim on top of that. You want to throw some sort of rogue aspect to it, but Steam just loves to buildy crafty. That's just what they do. Okay, so Warhaven, slashy game. We looked at that before. SteamWorld, build, way to get it. The keyword in there, build, because Steam loves buildy crafty. This is like optimized for Steam keywords. Steam, build, right there. Steamworks, build. Classic franchise, classic model thrown together. Build game, city builders plus a very popular franchise. Brilliant stuff here. Viewfinder is the puzzle game we talked about. Moonstone Island, this is the first kind of wholesome game I'm seeing, and it looks like kind of a it's giving basic kind of like Why am I hemming and hawing here? It's given me island vibes. It's given me Animal Crossing mixed with Stardew Valley vibes. That's what it's giving. So that's essentially it. So really, so far, genre-wise, I'm not seeing many surprises. I think the interesting thing I'm seeing so far is a rise in kind of the slashy games. I'm really surprised by how much slashy game there is. And then I'm also no surprised by the number of buildy crafty games. I am not surprised that I see 0 platformers. People just don't like platformers. I don't see any in the top genre charts. And the other surprise that I see is no trailers, no sizzle reel trailers. And everything else looks pretty good. There's one puzzle game, no surprise there, and this game is like the best puzzle game I've seen come out in the last 6 months. In other words, virality, people showing this game every year. There's 1 or 2 puzzle games that really captures the imagination, like a Baba's You type of game, that sort of thing. 1 or 2 per year, and that's what I'm saying is, folks, puzzle games are very hard to stand out, but there's so many buildy crafty games. So that's kind of what I'm getting from this Steam Next Fest. Let's look at demos real quick. Daily active demos is kind of wonky because people can turn on their demo right at the last minute. So you kind of get some weird stuff featured in here, like Primitive Society Simulator. That was not on any of the charts, but it's there. I think a lot of times it's just like they got their demo up first, and whoever randomization of the algorithm click this one into the existence first. But again, buildy colony simulator type of game, top down. It's doing well. I expect these type of games to drop out because the big boys and girls, those top 2 genre charts those ranking charts are gonna just dominate this. So that's why I want to get in nice and early so I could catch some of these weird things that have happened. Greedland multiplayer. It's kind of like a Vampire Survivors. I like to see Vampire Survivors. The other thing is, I didn't see any Vampire Survivors. I think I saw 1 Vampire Survivor like in that list. They are leveling up how beautiful they are. I'm seeing more 3D ones, so that's interesting to watch, to see where the Vampire Survivor likes are coming in. Look at this game. Look at all those guns. I think Vampire Hunters, let's see. To hunt vampires, you need to be in lots of modem vampires, demons. I think this might be an FPS. I got to look deeper. I just saw this game. This might be a FPS Vampire Survivors like. And instead of having swirling things around you, you get a viewpoint full of guns and mobs are coming at you. Interesting thing. We'll play this one later. Broken Roads, similar thing. Let's see, what is this one? Broken Roads is a narrative-driven RPG. RPGs do well. It's just they're very hard to create because you have to put so much content into them. A Chinese-only game? Wow, that's interesting. And Heretics Fork, this is cool. This is like a deck builder, tower defense, looking kind of Vampire Survivors like. I'm talking to the developer. He did some good stuff with that. I'll update you. What else? Anything else? Housewarper VR, a VR game. Woo! VR games almost never do up here because there aren't many people that are doing VR. In other words, not many people have VR equipment, and they'd rather just kind of play this stuff. So I kind of think this is one that popped in at the last minute. Some weird fluke of the algorithm. I don't expect this one to stick around. We'll see. I'll do one towards the middle part. Then we'll really find out. I'm just trying to capture the moment at this front right here. And then Doomed Isles. What do we got? Oh, this is like a crafty, buildy. It looks like a Forager like with too many cutscenes. Come on, put your gameplay. The only thing that tells me that is that little pop in existence. This is a Forager like, which is kind of like it's this neat genre where you. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of like a very simplified colony sim where you can drop stuff in and then your island expands as you build and then you craft things. Yeah, this is really giving me those vibes. This is really, I think I've seen this game before, but yeah, very Forager-like, and then there's some randomization there. So really good stuff. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Nothing too surprising to see, but folks, really put your gameplay. So here's what I mean is, see, Steam only lets you have 2 trailers right here. Put your gameplay one, no trailers right in that first slot, and then you can do the one where you spend all the money hiring an animator to animate your trailer, which I don't recommend, but if you're Devolver, you got nothing but money, so where are you going to spend your money anyway? Hire animators, great. But put those kind of animated trailers in the second slot. First one should be exclusive gameplay. That way you can get those cool hover things, and they look good so people can determine genre. So put lots of UI, gameplay, that kind of stuff right up front so you can see that. But that's kind of what I'm seeing with this Steam Next Fest. I'll probably do another one of these before the end of the week. I might even be playing some games to look at some stuff. A couple other things that I didn't see anything new as far as ways of wish listing and stuff, because now one of the big ones about, I'd say, 2 Next Fest ago, probably about 9 months ago, they added this wish list widget where you just wish list it without even looking at the page, which is interesting. That's why you can't calculate click-through rate, because there's so many factors about how people can wish list, view, and interact with your capsule and page. The numbers are wonky. Just look at wish list rate. That'll tell you whether people like it. Any other things? Any other advice I would have for somebody in Next Fest right now? One thing, this is news. I saw this from my community. A couple people last minute decided to drop out of Next Fest. They sent the right forms and submitted to Steam and said, please pull us. We're not ready for Next Fest yet. And Valve didn't listen, or something happened, and their games appear in here. So if you see any games and there's no demo, that means they probably tried to opt out of Steam Next Fest, but for whatever, Valve didn't do it, and so we're waiting to hear what happens. But if you at the last minute opted out of Next Fest, here's a PSA for you. Be sure to open a support. If you see it in Next Fest and all this stuff, and you don't have a demo live because you're like, I thought we were out of Next Fest, we opted out at the last minute, Valve may have put you in there. And I recommend you contact Valve and say, hey, we accidentally showed it here. We don't want to do this Next Fest. Please know that we're not trying to game the system here. We want to be in the right Next Fest, which is whenever you do want to be it. So it's a little bit of emergency. I get a little nervous about that. So make sure you contact Valve about that. The other thing is, if you are a developer, just keep watching for these to see how many other games you're going to show up in. In other words, like how many other games are going to be in this list. It's an important thing, because my bet is you want to kind of opt out. You want to basically opt into one where there's not a lot of people, so that you're like right at the top. Because who knows? I think it's random which one shows up at the top, because nobody's going to scroll down. Unfortunately, they're like, I want to watch this one. This is the one I want to watch. Who knows? But that's kind of how it goes. Let's see if there's anything else that I can think of for this. I might play a couple, because I like to see how people do the CTA within their menus and stuff to say, play this demo. I also like to play the games to see where they cut off their content, what they show in their game, how long the demo is, if they do any other cool messaging tricks like join the mailing list, that kind of stuff. I love to see that stuff. So we'll just keep in touch. If you found a game that's cool, comment below. If you want to hear anything in the next live stream from Steam Next Fest, comment below. I will also keep that into account. And again, I might be covering it later this week. And if you have anything else, just you know where to find me, howtomarketagame.com. That's where I am, and I write a newsletter every week, which you can join at howtomarketagame.com/free. I've got courses, talks, benchmarks to find out how many wish lists you expect to get out of this Next Fest. Probably about 60,000 down to 1,000. That's probably typically where most people land. Usually closer to 1,000. That's just the way it goes. I'm sorry, kids. That's it. Have a good one. Stay cool, stay positive, stay healthy.